into history and museums and stuff?
Yeah, definitely interested. I grew up in Ottawa, so I grew up going.
Yeah. So I would say at that Signal Hill in Halifax, they've got on the top, besides for it being that fort, they have like historic reenactments of British soldiers. They have guys playing bagpipes and stuff, and they have a noon cannon, kind of like you have a 9 o'clock cannon.
Yeah.
And when that thing fires, they have a whole show procession, and then they fire it. It's amazing. And they've got like a military museum.
Cannon ceremony, like is it like an old time?
Yeah, it's a whole ceremony. It's half an hour thing. They do the changing of the guard, and then they have the guy playing their pipes. Yeah, and then they've also got like a military museum about the wars, and they have I would say the most historically accurate World War I trench recreation up there.
Oh wow!
Like, so all around the fort they dug a trench, and you're actually in a trench, and then they have some actual pieces that were in the trench, some like pottery and stuff from people at the time, and then they have like recreations.
That's so cool. What's it called? What's the fort called?
Can't remember off the top of my head. It's the center of Halifax.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check it out.
Yeah. Well, when you go on the tour, you just skim by. You know, you're there. You go there for the cannon, and I went the day before, and I actually saw the whole thing, the whole ceremony and everything. And then I went on the tour, and the tour went up to the cannon, and I saw it fire, and then they went back down. Like, and didn't actually go into the park.
Oh, cool. So, I'm gonna try to work out your route. So you started in Labrador.
Oh no, well, I started in Montreal.
Yeah, okay. So you started
and then there's no roads going straight to Labrador from there. Yeah. So they just finished a road in 2006 going from Labrador City to Happy Valley Goose Bay. Okay. That's in North Labrador near Hudson Bay. Okay. And so to get there from Montreal, you drive. I did all the sites on the way. I did Saguenay Fjords. I did Tadoussac. You cross the Baie-Comeau. It's on the ocean. It's by Sept-Îles over there, and all the way. That's the end of the road, the end of like the highway road. Then you have like a small little country road going up to the Manic Dams, and you keep going up. Once you get to Manic 5, which is an engineering marvel, it's just 300-meter huge dam. In the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. You pass that, it's basically all dirt road, and it's mostly trucks carrying all the ore, the iron ore, the copper mines, aluminum, and they're following an old railroad track. And you take that road, you're not able to go faster than 80 kilometers an hour, and there's pebbles flying. If you have a nice car, don't take it up. Yeah, it's pebbles smashing your car all the way up. And then you get there, and you take that road for about 16 hours, and you get to Labrador City. From Labrador City, it's highway again, but it's the speed limit's 80, and it's you could go faster, but it's really nice scenery and stuff. And you drive Churchill Falls and all the way to Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then Happy Valley Goose Bay down to Red Bay, Labrador. There's Port Hope Simpson, which is the farthest point east. It's all dirt road, and then from there it's like winding country road, really nice scenery. You're seeing all the little villages, of whaling villages, fishing villages along Red Bay until Blanc-Sablon. And I took that route over the main route of going just on the south shore of the St. Lawrence, because if you go on the south shore, you have to pay a ferry both way to Newfoundland, and each way the ferry is $380. Oh,
it's that expensive?
Yeah, it's 16-hour ferry, but it's like it's like a cruise ship. They have like music and live music and comedian and a movie room and fancy seats, and you could buy a berth room for an extra $120 for the trip. So yeah, it's expensive. But the North Ferry, it's kind of like the ferry to Vancouver Island here. It's an hour and a half, and it's just basic like seats and put your car away. But it's $30 for a car and a person. So I'm like, I spent that amount in gas going all the way around, but I also saw all the sights and everything in Labrador. And then I got there, and And Newfoundland's like a totally different experience. You've got every landscape there. It's seashore with wind. The people aren't very green there.
Yeah.
I find there's no littering signs everywhere, but I find Newfoundlanders they litter everywhere. It's the beaches there are like, one part of it's nice scenic beach, and then wherever the wind blows everything, it's just piles of garbage and nobody cleans it up. It's whatever, but it's really nice scenery on the ocean. And then they have some of the only inland fjords in Canada. There's big, I think it's up to 2,000 meter fjords going into lakes down to sea level, and waterfalls and amazing in Gross Moor National Park.
Right.
And then they have forest and mountains. Nothing as high as here, but it's like the experience and the fog. And then they also have it's something called the tabletops. It's like have you ever been down to Arizona?
No.
Oh, it's like
New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico. Yeah, so it's like the desert there. It's just you have like a whole area. It's like 20 kilometers long. I don't know how many kilometers wide of just desert with like in Newfoundland with cacti and everything growing there. Yeah, they've really got everything in Newfoundland. And then that's all on the northern coast of it. And then as you drive west, it becomes more, I wouldn't say boring, but it's just like forests with low mountains. And then when you get to St. John's, it's basically like a cliff going into the ocean with when I came in that night, I couldn't drive more than 2-3 kilometers an hour on the highway for at least 10 kilometers an hour because the fog was so thick. And the whole highway you're going, I came in like 10 o'clock at night, and just all the cars are like, you become bumper to bumper,
right,
and you can't see in front of you. It's just, I haven't experienced something like that ever.
That's wild,
yeah, and then St. John's, it's a very nice city, and
right,
they have their little fort over there and some museums. And
basically you went from Labrador
yeah,
to Newfoundland.
to Newfoundland, and then I paid for the ferry, and I paid for the expensive ferry from Argentia, Newfoundland, which is about half an hour off south of St. John's.
Okay,
I took the ferry from Argentia to well, there's Porto Basque and Argentia, and the difference like $40-50 in price. So Porto Basque is 3.5 hour drive. It's just worth it for me to take the one from Argentia. And Argentia is the nicer, newer ship. It was completed in 2014, I think. It's a really nice ferry, but yeah, it's expensive. And that one goes to Sydney, Nova Scotia. And then from there, you drive by all the lavender fields. Then the scenery is just whatever, coastlines, driving by and driving through to get to Halifax. And then I went to Bay of Fundy, and I went tidal bore rafting.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the tides that you have over here going under the Lionsgate Bridge.
Right.
They're very fast, but over there it's like it's the highest tides in the world.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of the Bay of Fundy. It is something.
Yeah, so when you have the tides come in, it actually makes it's a very short. They advertise it like white water rafting, like, oh, you're gonna get a trip for like half an hour. You think you're actually rafting for the whole time, but you actually only get to raft for like 2 minutes because the tide comes in a series of waves, and those waves are like, they're big waves. They're 5-6 foot waves you're going over, but that's it. It's a wave.
It's over.
And then, well, it's fun. You're in the raft and you raft it out there, but whatever. It's an experience. So you did that rafting, and then the Hopewell Rocks. I walked on the beach at night, in the evening, and in the morning the water's up there. It's I think was it 25 meters of tide. It's up to the tree line and down. It's amazing experience. And then Fredericton, St. John, New Brunswick, I just saw that. And then I went to PI, and I was actually disappointed in PI. PI is like, it's a city for your history. You get to see Charlottetown, where the Confederation was signed over, and all And really, it's a nice city with like small little houses, but it smells a lot like flowers. Like, always smells flowers over there. And they have like free tours of all these buildings, historic buildings and stuff. You just go up to them, tour to 10 o'clock, and Parks Canada stuff, and you go into the tour, and it's interesting. And then they have, if you read books, they have Anne of Green Gables house. It's like a historic reenactment village. It's really nice. But that's it. Basically, the rest of PEI, there's a few beaches where they advertise it like some of the warmest beaches in Eastern Canada, and the water's 14-15 degrees. It's not exactly warm. Yeah, it's nice. They're nice beaches. But the rest of PEI is all potato farms. I don't know if they sell them around here. Cavendish French fries, like a green. Okay, well, they sell them all over the East Coast. So like they have all their farms there, and it's like Cavendish French fry farms.
Right.
And that's like the big attraction. Oh, and they have some like vineyards and wine and whatever. I don't know what else. But it's mostly like all farmland. And yeah, if you take a ferry on and off, it's like $60-70 each way. And the Confederation Bridge toll is the most expensive toll I ever paid. It's $45 each way.
Wow, it's that expensive.
Yeah, it's 12 minutes on the bridge each way. It's $90 just to go to PEI and back.
Because usually, like sometimes the bridges like that, they'll make you only pay.
A one way, exactly. But I don't know. Some people said they don't really want tourists there. And they're, whatever, it said they want to support the ferries, because the ferries were going for 150, 200 years already.
Yeah.
It's the same companies, and then suddenly the government makes a bridge. But
yeah, well, it's my understanding is PEI joined Confederation on the condition that there be a ferry, and then we had a 20th, 21st century solution of building a bridge.
yeah.
You'd think would be better, but yeah, I guess.
It is better because it's a lot quicker. The ferry, you're waiting half an hour, and then it's a half-an-hour ferry.
Yeah.
Whereas the bridge is 12 minutes each way.
Right.
If you're going the speed limit, if you're going over the speed limit.
How long is it, 13K?
Yeah, it's 12, it's a little over 12 kilometers, yeah. Yeah, and the speed limit on it's 60, so. Yeah, if you're going over the speed limit, then you get there faster. But there's cameras all over, and they say that they're taking a picture, so I don't know if they're actually doing it or
If you're
not.
eavesdropping, you're hearing basically all the tips of how to do a cross-Canada tour. So he's talked to 3 provinces so far. There's 7 more.
Four. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward's Island, and Newfoundland, Labrador.
True. Okay, so he's done 4 now. But those are all the small ones. So like,
Yeah.
he's driven so far since then.
Oh, so far it's been 11,400 kilometers.
I mean, Australia's pretty big too. But,
I did. I went to Australia
still,
last year.
What a road trip to make it this far from the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. And then I went through Quebec, and it's boring.
Well,
I live in Montreal. I've seen Quebec City already. If you want to do a tour of just Quebec City, okay, Chateau Frontenac and all the nice stuff over there. But I was going to South Shore, and I just wanted to get home for the weekend because I haven't been home in 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay. So I just drove it basically from. Oh, I went to the beach on Baie de Chaleur in New Brunswick.
Yeah.
That one says it is the beach with the warmest water in Eastern Canada, and the water was 18 degrees. It's Baie de Chaleur, yeah, the Bay of it, yeah. And it's like some geothermal springs or something coming in.
Oh, they're cheating. That's why.
But it's not actually warm. It's warm for water-wise. It's 18 degrees.
Okay.
But like I understand it stays like 14 degrees in the winter there.
Right.
So yeah, it's nice warm water, but it's not warm. I got there at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I went in, and it was cold.
Right.
And also it wasn't. I was picturing it like nice, clear water, but the water was murky and full of jellyfish. I don't know if jellyfish had stingers or what on them.
Not quite the Caribbean, is it?
No, it was like. But it was a nice sunset. It's on the East Coast though, so you don't have the sun over the ocean. But I was there, yeah. And then next day was just drive back.
All right, first off, and I still have everybody.